This record has really revealed some gems and secrets to me. So I'm looking forward to
Okay.
diving into it. So what I want to start with though is like, let's go back to the Outsiders. The sound and the vibe of the Outsiders into Mr. Misunderstood could not have been more different. And I think that you found a new sound and a new style of songwriting, even a more focused songwriting, a more personal songwriting with Mr. Misunderstood. That was 2015.
Yep.
Heart and Soul taken as a whole, and let's talk about it as a whole right now.
Okay.
It
Okay.
feels like the natural evolution of that. So how does the Eric Church of Mr. Misunderstood compare to the one who wrote and recorded Heart and Soul?
Starting with your first part of your question, there was
Mhm.
Outsiders was a lot of bombast. I felt like
Mhm.
Outsiders was the rebellion record that was trying to get away from the guy that had just made the Chief album, and it
Mhm.
had a lot of success and had been boxed in a lot of ways. I felt like Outsiders was the guy that the creativity run amok, where you have a person going, I do not want to be who you want me to be.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and then I think Mr. Misunderstood was the more organic return to um, the singer songwriter part of that, the
Mhm.
storytelling part of that. What's interesting to me is as we come into Heart and Soul, I'm still having a hard time talking about what I think Heart and Soul is, because I didn't find and set out to make Heart and Soul. I think a lot of artists and songwriters, they say, I'm going to go make this album.
Mhm.
This is where I am at the time.
Mhm.
This is what I'm going to do. That didn't happen here. This was the album made me. I didn't make the album. And every day I didn't know what that song was. I didn't know what was going to happen that night. I didn't know if we were going to strike out. And then the best part of it is when that was over with, I had to do it again the next day. And at the end of the next day, I couldn't remember what we did day one. I had no clue what the damn song was.
Right.
So it was one of those wild things where we let whatever was going to happen. We didn't choke anything out. We put everybody in a room. I mean, I still remember there was one of the earliest songs we recorded. We brought up some guitar, a studio guy from Nashville,
Mhm.
because I wanted things to be uncomfortable for my band,
Right.
just to have some tension. Tension's great, and he sat down, and I had just written this song 3 hours before, and he said, "Well, do you think the guitar part goes like this?" I said, "Rob, I don't know what the fuck the guitar." I said, "It's brand new." I said, "I've not even heard a guitar part yet. What are you talking about?" And he kind of laughed. He said, "Yeah, I forgot. Normally, you've listened to songs 1,000 times, and you have." I said, I have. Wherever it goes, it goes. Let's
Mhm.
chase it and see what happens." So I think for the Heart and Soul, the writing part is the purest writing I've done, because it was unedited and nobody got to sit there and do it, put it through a committee and go, well, how
Mhm.
about a verse here? How about we do this here? I would say the same thing for Jay Joyce. There, there's no, there's nobody else to run it by. We're just in the room. What feels good, what sounds good, and I don't know that I've ever made a record that it was that same day that you go, this feels good. Is this right? Fuck, I don't know. Let's do it. And we would kind of go that route.
It's almost like a Rolling Stones Exile on Main Street template,
Yeah,
right? Where you
yeah,
hold
yeah,
up, and for people who don't know, you took the band, you took Jay Joyce, your producer, you took an army of songwriters to North Carolina
yep,
in January of
yep,
2020. Is that right? January
yeah.
2020, and wrote and recorded a song a day, if not more than one a day, right?
Right. We at least
Right.
did one a day. We
At
wrote
least
and
they one a day.
recorded it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You said to go back to the Desperate Man album, which is the album that preceded this. You said that you felt too comfortable making
yep,
Desperate Man.
yep. I did.
What did you mean by that? And is that basically what prompted this, this North Carolinian exile?
Yep. Best way I would say it, from a fat and happy. I felt
Hmm.
like we came off of an arena tour and sold out shows, and we show up in the studio and I don't know. Everybody's kind of well, I guess we're going to make a record and we're going to do it again. There was no sense of urgency. There was no danger. I felt like the band was just kind of there. And I don't know. The whole thing to me it was nothing against, people get mad when I say this because I love the Desperate Man album. Has nothing to do with what the end product was. I'm telling people what the process was. And the process was difficult to get to that point. we overcut more than we've ever overcut. I mean, we had 6 or 7 songs that just didn't make the album, or we'd strike out. I mean, the whole thing was a
Mm-hmm.
grind. The way most artists deal with that is you have to replace your producer. You start changing out your band members. You start changing everything to try to get that thing that we're trying to get back to. My idea, instead of doing that, was this North Carolina deal where I take Jay out of his element. I stick it in an element that's never had a studio in it. I take the band and I put them in a competitive situation with other people. And then for myself, I went there I had 4 or 5 song ideas coming into day one. And I exhausted them quickly. So when we got to like day 7, day 8, I didn't know what the next day was going to, it got kind of manic where I would sit there and go, fuck, what's tomorrow? What is tomorrow? What are we going to write tomorrow? What are we going to do? And I think that, I don't know, man, it just turned into the coolest thing. And I just musically, and I think 90% of it was, I was a fan. I mean, I was reacting to the moment. I didn't think about it. There was no thought. We just, that day we committed to that song. That was the day. And then it was over and you forgot about it. And the next day you committed to that song. And at the end of the process, when I listened back, I remember Jay going through one of the playbacks, and we were having a good time and drinking and going, God, I can't believe we did this. And he played, it was Heart of the Night. And he said, I'm going to play Heart of the Night. And I went, what's that? Like that. And he goes, Heart of the Night. I said, I don't know what that is. I said, what song is that? And he played it and I was like, oh crap. Yeah, I remember that now. But all those things, I didn't have a chance to get married to any of this. I had no opinions on this stuff. I was almost like a vessel that these things worked through. That's all I was. I was an open medium. Yeah, and I let these things just move through me. I didn't have passion and opinions about any of them.
It's funny you say that, because when you started releasing songs from this, right before the album was even announced, no one knew what you were doing. Is it an album? You were just, hidden out, hiding out in North Carolina writing these songs. And then you started slowly putting some out. And when I heard them, I was like, man, what is he doing? Are these like demos that he's not doing? And I don't mean that. And like, they just sounded so rootsy. They sounded like you really were just coming up with that. But when I listened to the album, and I'm going to keep saying the album, even though it's 3 components, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
When I listened to it as an album, it made sense to me. Everything flowed the way it did. Like when I heard Bad Mother Trucker the first time, I was like really excited for it, and it didn't hit me until I heard it in the context of the album. Right. I don't know what that is, because it's it's a 3 disc, a 3 LP record, right? Or I guess 5 LP when it comes down to it, right?
Yeah, I think that's interesting you say that, but you're right. I mean, and the reason it sounds that way, it's kind of like the band in Big Pink or whatever. It's made in a place that the record's never been made there. So it did have a sound. It does not sound like our other albums. It does not sound like what we've done before. The drum sounds are different. The guitar sounds are different. The vocals are different. It's all just different because we've never been in that environment. And I think that's what makes it have some unity when you keep calling it, one project. I get it, but it has unity in that way. The thing that made it 3 projects for me was the songs grouped together differently. You can't put out a 25 song album, and I could find a double album, but I couldn't find what you do then. I couldn't find where Ray-Bans went. Right. I couldn't figure out where Life with Me went. I couldn't figure out where Lone Wolf went. I'm still not sure where Lone Wolf goes. So it's that thing where I couldn't get those on Heart or Soul. Heart is interesting because what I love about the project is there's a ton of songs that have heart in them. And people, normally, here's what would happen. I would go through a songwriting panel about my group that I use. And they would go, well, we can only have one heart song. But I was writing every day. It was in my head. It was, maybe it's a car song or a freedom song. It was a daily deal. So you're getting what's in here real time. So that's why there's Heart on Fire, Heart of the Night, Never Break Heart. That's why you're getting that.
All on the album, yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, that's, I got asked a question earlier today, why Heart and Soul? And I said, well, as I listened back, I didn't have Heart and Soul, but as I listened back to trying to group these things, what are these? Heart's pretty, obvious. It jumps kind of right. And I said, okay, what if this is Heart and didn't have anything else? And that's kind of, once they started grouping up is when I truly saw the project. Before that, I love the recordings. I love what it was. I didn't know what it was though. I couldn't figure out if it, what is this? Is this 15-song album, which I hate doing. I think a listening experience should be condensed, and this is what it is, and it's meant to be done, and then you move to the next one. And I think that's where we came up with the three albums.
Were there any songs that you brought to the table already in your mind, fleshed out? I think Ray-Bans, Through My Ray-Bans, was one that I think you started that before you went to North Carolina to record. Is that right? Tell me a bit about that. That was kind of inspired by the Las Vegas shooting, right?
Yep.
Everybody's got their arms around. Everybody else is sure.
It was an older song that I hadn't totally reworked it, but it was in my head. And honestly, this is what's great about going into a process like that. That song happened on a day that the song that I tried to write didn't make it. Strike out. And I happened to be there. Luke Laird was one of the writers that I wrote that with. He was there that day. And the song that we had been trying to get to that session that night sucked. And we didn't get it there. It just wasn't right. It didn't meet the bar of the project. And as we were going into it, I said, well, man, screw it. Let me throw something at you. Let's go back and revisit Ray-Bans. And we started talking about it and reworked it and redid it and then cut it that night. So because we struck out on another song, that song kind of found its way. The song that I had coming in, because I wrote it by myself, was Heart on Fire, was the first song we recorded. And I wanted to get us off on a good foot. So I had most of that one coming into the project. And then from there, I had some pieces, or I had, a title here or there. And I cannot underestimate how important Casey Beathard was to this project. MVP of the whole deal for me, because he was coming off a real tragic time in his life. His son was killed, and he was able to come up there. And I believe there was a therapy element for all of us in the mountains. And I think Casey got a lot of therapy and just found some amazing things. He said to me probably halfway through, he said, I just want to thank you for restoring my faith in the reason I got into music. He said, we're getting to do what I've always wanted to do. This is what you dream of as a songwriter, as a musician. You get to see your creation come to life in real time while you're there. And I agree with that sentiment. I think that was what made this a special project.
There's a lot of heartland rock to this record, right? I mean, people hear some Mellencamp, all of these kind of sounds, these very rootsy sounds. But for me, Church, here's what I hear. I hear Meatloaf. I hear a rock opera in those first three songs on the Heart record.
Heart of the Night is rock opera. It's rock opera. It's
Russian Roulette is rock opera.
Russian. You know what gets me? It's so funny you say that. And Joe, this is why you piss me off sometimes. That's a great that I said there's a part on Heart of the Night where it goes, it's still beating heart of the night. And it's the hits. And Jay goes, we can't do all those hits. I said, dude, it's Meatloaf. Let's do it. And I said into the mic. And it's over dramatic. It's over passionate. It's those things. But man, and there's also a little Neil Diamond in there. There's a little bit of LA's fine. There's some Neil Diamond going on.
I love
it.
But
you're dead right. You're dead right. It was over the top in places, but it never felt wrong. And I think that's the thing. That's all I'll say is if we analyze it and we took Heart of the Night and we brought it back and put it through the normal channels, we would have got to the end and said, let's cut Heart on Fire. You know, that's what made this different is we didn't do that. It was, this is what we wrote today. And this is, I think, let's commit ourselves to this. Let's have fun with this. And let's do it. And it, I don't know, I've never made an album that way. It's all, I knew going in on every one of my albums that the song we were bringing to the board that night was a damn good song. And it had been looked at and it was better than the 9 other ones I had. I did not know that this time. And so I think in a way you commit a little bit harder to the defense of that song. You want it to be, you go harder at the vocal. You go harder at the guitar. And what I loved is after a couple of days, the band joined right in. I mean, everybody, we had a true army there. You know, a few days in, they were, you know, they knew what we were trying to do and they understood the specialness of it and the uniqueness of it. And then they committed to it.